listening to the Lovish Podcast, and I'm your host, Seida Hood, a licensed clinical social worker. Each week, I'm going to help you to develop the belief and strategy necessary to make an immediate impact on the world by deep diving into topics like mental wellness, faith, relationships, and love. I should mention before we hop into the show, this is not a substitute for a relationship with a licensed therapist. You ready? Let's get it! Hey, welcome back for another episode of the Lovish Podcast. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here with me. It's been quite a while since we've done a video episode. If you are listening to this episode live on your favorite podcasting app, head on over to YouTube and check out the video episode or the video podcast for this episode. And for those of you that are watching the video, when you see me looking over here, child, I got to check my notes, okay? All right, let's jump into this week's episode. This week, we are talking about living authentically. Now, I wanted to start off by asking you a question. Do you find yourself burying parts of the real you in order to accommodate other people? You don't really like to show up as you or as authentically as you can because you're afraid to be perceived as weird. Is that you? Is that you, girl? Raise your hand if that's you. That's you? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I felt like it was important to talk about authenticity today because I feel as though we see authenticity, self-care, identity, blah, 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 all of that all over the internet streets right now. But in reality, why are we looking for authenticity where there is none, honey? Why? I feel like the people that use authenticity most often are those that have perfectly curated lives. And I hear you. You like, but Seida, you use authenticity. Yes, I do. And that's part of the problem. I'm not saying that everybody that uses the word authenticity is watered down and not authentic. I'm just saying there's too many people out there that have perfectly curated lives that are not exactly authentic. I am my most authentic self when I am on this show with you guys, when I am on social media with you guys. Now, of course, as with anything in life, you have to be real about the fact that y'all just can't know all my business, honey. You just can't. There has to be some level of privacy with being online. So there's a difference between maintaining privacy and still being authentic to, what you're talking about and saying you're authentic, but having all these perfectly curated moments. Okay. So I want you to be aware of that. In all of this, the question that I found myself asking was, why do we find it so challenging to simply live authentically? Like, what does that even mean? I'll give you a few thoughts of mine on what it means to live authentically. But at the core, you guys know I love words. If you go and you look up the word authenticity, authenticity is just the state of being real, genuine. So why is it so hard for us to be real? Okay. Tips for curating an authentic lifestyle. Here we go. Authenticity means being vulnerable. I talk to a lot of women pretty often that say, I don't like crying. I don't like being vulnerable. Being vulnerable makes me uncomfortable, but it is natural to cry. It's natural to be vulnerable in certain parts of life. Every portion of your life is not going to be perfectly curated. In fact, I think research is showing that more recently, people are preferring real life over these perfectly curated images. And it's likely because of the fact that perfectly curated images make us feel bad about ourselves, right? If we think about when you need to go and clean something up or get something done, and then you log on to social media and you see that somebody else has this perfect clean house, it kind of just makes you feel bad about yourself. So research is showing that it's okay to be human. And I'm sure all my therapists out here in the streets are also telling you that it's okay to be human. Also, the more comfortable you get with crying, the more comfortable you get with being vulnerable. And if you're comfortable with being vulnerable, you can process your emotions as they're happening, which means that you carry around less baggage from relationship to relationship. Make sense? You staying with me? Okay, good. Authenticity also means being bold. Like, I think about this in terms of big life moves. If you're going to stick your neck out there, you may as well stick your neck all the way out there, right? Like, no half-hearted sticking our neck out. No, well, I think I might want to open up that boutique, so maybe I'll just tiptoe around. No, because the reality is, you're probably not going to see big success unless you make big moves, big risks. And I'm not saying that you should be out here being unwise, because I definitely don't advocate for you to be unwise. You have to be wise about all the moves that you're making. But sometimes I think us waiting for the perfect moment or just tiptoeing out there a little bit actually prevents us from seeing real success. And this can go with anything. This can go with, oh, I changed this little bit and now I'm upset because that didn't happen right away. Realistically, nothing's going to happen overnight. Not weight loss, not building a business, not even having a baby is overnight, okay? Nothing in life is overnight. But all of those things require a full commitment. And when you don't fully commit to the thing that we're talking about, then you don't get the full result of what you're looking for. So we can't, sit back and be afraid to show up authentically as ourselves, to show up in our rawest, boldest form and still expect to have these big, bold, courageous results. It's just not going to happen. Again, I want you to dream big and take bold steps. I want to also highlight something for you that maybe you already knew and maybe you forgot. There is never a mistake that you make that can't be flipped. What do I mean? Let's look at all these companies with bad PR recently, or even all the people with bad PR, right? Let's just say Kanye. Kanye, regardless of how you feel about him or Kim or whose side you're on, whatever the case is, there's never a mistake that you can't flip. Even with negative this, negative that, even with negative feedback, there's never a mistake you can't fix. Let's go back a couple of years. Let's go back to when the culture was primarily saying Kanye's canceled, cancel Kanye, blah, 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 right? When everybody was saying that, there was a few people that were like, no, Kanye is not canceled in my book. And here we are, fast forward. What's the world been talking about? Kanye and his split up from Kim. So I want you to know there is never a mistake that can't be flipped. And I want you to start getting into the mindset of thinking and asking yourself, not why is this happening to me, but what is this cultivating in me? What can I learn from this? So if you are always having an attitude of growth and learning and transformation and knowing that every mistake can be flipped and you will process through your emotions, where's the fear of living boldly? Yes, we know people are going to talk about you. Let's just clear the air. They're going to talk. So you may as well give them something to talk about, honey. Give them something. No, seriously. That's obviously not the goal of stepping out boldly and being brave, but it is like a nice little perk when folks got something to talk about. Before we finish the rest of this episode, we are going to pause and have a word from our sponsor for the episode. I believe that every woman is handcrafted to make a unique impact on the world. I believe that women are born with their purpose deeply rooted inside of them. They only need to unlock it. I see you today. I see you waiting for other people to tell you what your life's purpose is and how to get there. I see you walking around feeling utterly exhausted and drained from supporting everyone around you. You have literally achieved so much, but you never stop to celebrate because it just doesn't feel like enough. You don't even tell people that you're walking around struggling to exist. What if you could unlock not only your life purpose, but the strategy to help you walk boldly into your next season? Would you be brave enough to take the leap? I'm Seida Hood, a licensed clinical social worker, and I want to invite you to join me at the Pink Emerald Retreat, where I help innovative women just like you to unlock their purpose and step boldly into the next season of their lives. At this intimate weekend retreat, you're going to learn how to speak with authority, to show up boldly in any environment, to walk more confidently, embracing your God-given identity, to develop life strategies that keep you productive in any season of life. We're talking big picture and day-to-day life here, and so much more. Not to mention, you will have a private room complete with a soaker tub and other amazing amenities, discounted services at the on-site spa, and access to nearby attractions in one of the most prominent suburbs of Illinois. Ready to book your luxury stay? Register now at thepinkemerald.com/retreat or click the link in the show notes. When are you going to stop pretending like you're Superwoman? Yes, I know you believe if you don't do it, it won't get done. Take a deep breath and pause with me for a moment here. You're doing too much. You know it and I know it. Let's stop pretending and get you some relief starting today. Do you set weekly wellness goals? If not, you've got to start. No more leaving yourself last on your to-do list. I want you to download the Confident Bae app and start using the weekly wellness tracker now. It's 100% free to use, and it comes with a digital journal to help you process thoughts and feelings on the go. You can even meet a tribe of like-minded women inside of Bae's Digital Cafe. I'm serious. Take off your cape, take a deep breath, and download the app at thepinkemerald.com/app or hit the link in the show notes. Okay, welcome back. Let's talk about the last thing that authenticity means. Authenticity means that you have permission. You have permission. How powerful is that statement? You have permission. You have permission to make mistakes. You have permission to be human. You have permission to just exist, like not having any productivity connected to you. You have permission. Breathe that in. Soak that in. You have permission. How would that change the way that you viewed life if you remembered that you had permission? If you remembered that your mistakes make you human? If you remembered that sometimes the only way that you can create a really great product or service or whatever is by making the mistakes, soaking up the lessons, and growing from that point on. And I think a lot of times when we think about permission, we think about the permission to do a thing. And yes, you have permission to do a thing, but also we're talking about the permission to just sit and exist. A lot of women that I talk to say pretty often, I feel lazy when I take a break. I feel guilty when I take a break because there's so many things to do. Yes, because let's be real, you wrote too much down on your to-do list to begin with. That's why you're having trouble. But also, if we take it even a step further, you're not lazy. You're not. The fact that you accomplish all that you accomplish day to day, you show up every day, you take care of the people in your life, that lets me know that you're not lazy. So you have the permission to simply be. To simply be you, whatever that looks like for today. And it could be different tomorrow, which leads me to another thought. You have permission to evolve and to grow. I think so many times we miss being able to tap into our purpose and who we're called to be because we're stuck with other people's expectation of who we were. So maybe back in high school, I was that person or this person or whatever, but that's not who I am today. And so if you're stuck in a place where you feel like I need permission to evolve, to grow, to change, one, you already have it, but I'll say it just in case you need to hear it. You have permission to grow. It's okay for you to be different. It's okay that you don't even look the same that you did last week. That's okay. If you take nothing else away from this episode, I want you to remember you have permission. It's time to talk about what I've been loving. Product recommendations, shout outs to family and friends, and overall gratitude. Let's get into it. Now it's time for the part of the show where I talk to you about the things that I've been loving. I'm not gonna lie to you, girl. I could not wait for the weather to break in Illinois because guess who's back? Back again, honey. It is the vanilla sweet cream cold brew. Yes. Can we shout it up for the cold brew? I gotta take a sip too, honey. Hold on. Where my Starbucks lovers at? I want you to comment down below what your favorite drink is if you are watching this video on YouTube. What your favorite Starbucks drink is, if you have drinks for the season, etc. If you are listening to this episode, I would love it if you would screenshot the episode and tag me on Instagram and let me know what you're drinking that way. Another thing that I'm loving this week is the Living Writer software. I'm working on book number 2. Yay! Woohoo! And I know a lot of authors just like to use Google Docs or Microsoft Word or whatever. I personally like to use a writing software when I'm working on my books, my manuscript, because you can set story goals and it'll tell you like how many days you have left to reach your word count. And you can plug and play spots for like research. You can skip ahead to certain chapters. There's just all these different perks. So I am really loving using the Living Writer software. They also have an app and a online access, and it's a cloud software. So I do enjoy that as well. I know there's still a lot of writing softwares that you can download to your computer or whatever. I just prefer the cloud, honey, because stuff be happening with these laptops, these phones, etc. So if you're a writer, let me know in the comments if you're a writer. Or again, if you're listening to this episode, tag me on Instagram and let me know if you are a writer. And if you're a writer, what is the software that you use? And to do a really quick recap, in today's episode, we talked about why it's important to be authentic. We talked about 3 ways to be authentic, or what authenticity means. It means being vulnerable, it means being bold, and it means that you have permission. If you enjoyed today's episode, share the love, boo. Share it with your mama. Share it with your auntie. Share it with your friend. Share it with your cousin. Then head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Well, that's all I got for you this week. I'll see you on these social media streets.